What's up, high levelers? My name is Andrew, and today we're talking about the Basecamp plus high-level integration. Basecamp is an awesome project management software that we can tie in with high-level to use actions and triggers within our workflows. This is an awesome integration, so let me show you how it works. Now, there's two ways to set up your integration with Basecamp. You can either navigate into any old workflow that you already have or a new workflow, and then whenever you add a trigger or an action that are using Basecamp, as we can see here, it will check the connection status, and if it's not connected, we can click Connect Now. This will bring us to our integration screen, which we can also access just from our settings, integrations inside of our sub account. You can see here is that Basecamp connection as well. So you can either do it within a workflow or in settings. Once we select that we will allow access for Basecamp, it will then navigate us back over to high level. You'll then see a confirmation that your Basecamp account has been connected either in the workflow or inside of settings. Now, back in our workflow, let's go over some of the triggers and actions that we can use to tie in with our Basecamp account. Of course, you do need to make sure that you already have a Basecamp account created. You can create one for free. And in order to get the most out of your project, make sure that you've already created one project. We're going to be managing this test project here, which will allow us to view to-do lists, dashboards, project management, and do all sorts of things within our Basecamp account. Again, these are all of our triggers, and you'll see that these are all premium actions noted by the crown icon, and then these are also instant or polling every 5 minutes. Now, the difference between these two tags is whenever a trigger is labeled as instant, it means as soon as that happens, it will launch the workflow, versus polling means that this trigger has to actively poll every 5 minutes whenever it is activated in order to find new actions that are happening. So the only one that happens for this is our new project trigger. So this will poll every 5 minutes, and then as long as a project was created within that time frame, then it will launch the workflow. For this example, let's just use our new project trigger. For each one of these, we will see a set of filters in order to actually use this with our Basecamp account. The first one is our account itself. We have to select our account. If you have multiple Basecamp accounts, this will pick it up. And then for a few of these, we have a few other filters. One that's common is name. So if we are looking for the name of a project, or let's say a good use case for this would be a project with the name that contains internal for an internal project, then those sorts of cases that would launch the workflow. Now that we've saved that, we can also test our trigger by clicking Fetch Trigger Data, which will run a test execution looking for that specific activity happening in your Basecamp account. So you can see here, this is all the data we got back from that trigger, which is awesome because that means that inside of any of our other actions, we'll just open up an SMS so I can show you here. We can open up our custom values. And then when we scroll down to new project, that is that Basecamp trigger. So not only is this awesome for utilizing the actual Basecamp actions, but if we just need to get information from Basecamp, we can take all of this in very similar to a webhook by using those trigger events fetches that will give us all this information. So we can get our project status, our name, description, purpose, clients, timesheets, colors, all sorts of stuff. It's absolutely awesome to use with these triggers. Now, on the other side of things, if we want to use a trigger that's already in high level, for example, maybe we want to add a to-do list in Basecamp after we've received a payment, then we can use one of those high level triggers. And then let's go ahead and take a look at our Basecamp actions. So we have a ton of actions for Basecamp. We can create to-do lists, create to-dos themselves, create messages, campfire messages, which is a Basecamp specific thing, which are more like group messages. We can then do update to-dos, add persons to projects, create documents, find to-dos, find projects, find to-do lists, create projects, find person, and find document. So as you can tell, these are all related to project and people management. So this can help you with a lot of your projects, especially if you're already used to using the Basecamp infrastructure. Tying this in with high level can give you a really seamless workflow. And of course, with all of these actions, we're going to have very similar fields. For example, this create documents action, we have to first select the account ID of the Basecamp account. Similarly, with some of these, you can select a project ID as well. So if you have multiple projects in your Basecamp account, then you can select your project, you can select folders, subfolders, and do so much more. Each one is going to be a little bit specific to that action. So feel free to test around with those actions and see what sort of information you can include, what you can do, and build some unique use cases around using Basecamp with high level. Again, this is going to be super useful if you're already using Basecamp as a project management and people management platform to help you get projects done more efficiently within your business. So being able to tie this in with high level with your marketing tools is a great way to get more things done. Of course, if you have any questions about the Basecamp trigger or any of its actions, feel free to refer to the help doc, or you can drop a comment on this video. As always, my name is Andrew, and thank you very much for watching.